The medical center was bustling, and no seats were available in the 10,000 square feet space. Patients waiting for a consultation stood in a line that reached outside the medical center. Dustin stepped in, and after scanning the place, he found about 5 doctors and several medical students running the place. But Brooke Bush was nowhere in sight. Dustin approached a young doctor and asked politely, "Excuse me, is Dr. Brooke Bush in today?" The young doctor had a name tag pinned on the front of his chest. It read Caldwell Quinn. "Dr. Bush isn't in right now. If you're seeking medical treatment, please get in line," Caldwell said impatiently, his attention on his phone. "I'm not here for medical treatment. I'm here to meet Dr. Bush and ask him about some things," Dustin answered. "You've got to wait in line even if you're not here for medical treatment," Caldwell snapped impolitely. "Dr. Bush isn't someone you can just meet on a whim. Who do you think you are? Now get in line and stop distracting me from my game." Dustin's brows furrowed. Just as he was about to give Caldwell a piece of his mind, a commotion broke out at the main entrance. "Out of the way! Get lost! I need a doctor. Where's the doctor? Save her!" With a roar, a group of suit-clad bodyguards burst in with a drenched woman in their arms. They had an intimidating presence, knocking everyone in their way aside. "Damn it! Who's kicking up such a ruckus?" Caldwell raised his head and was just about to start lecturing those shouting in the medical center when he saw who they were. His expression immediately changed. Gone was his former rudeness as he chucked away his cell and hurriedly rushed to them. "Doctor! Where the fuck are the doctors?" The bodyguards clamored fiercely, scaring the patients in the medical center. They quickly got out of the way for fear of getting into trouble. What happened? Several of the doctors from Harmony Healers went up to them. "Move aside. I'll handle it." Caldwell pushed the doctors aside and stepped forward voluntarily. "Is this Ms. Eleanor Welsh from the Welsh family?" he asked tentatively. "If you know who she is, why aren't you saving her yet?" the lead bodyguard pressured. "I'm on it." A look of glee flashed on Caldwell's face for a fraction of a second. It was as though he had got his hands on a treasure. The Welsh family was one of Oakvale's 8 great families. They were filthy rich and extremely powerful. As a daughter of the Welsh family, Eleanor Welsh was known to be both rich and pretty. This was Caldwell's chance to play the hero and save the damsel in distress. He wasn't ready to pass up on such a chance. If he managed to save Eleanor, this might be his one-way ticket to success. What happened? "Is Ms. Welsh hurt?" Caldwell frowned when he took a good look at her. Eleanor's face was ashen with patches of purple, and her eyes were bloodshot. Her breathing was so weak it was practically non-existent, and she had lost consciousness. Ms. Welsh had a few drinks and drove into a lake on her way home. By the time we pulled her out, she was already unconscious, the head bodyguard quickly reported. "How can she drive after drinking?" "You guys are too careless," Caldwell muttered. "We're not here for this crap. Save her, quick," the head bodyguard barked. "Don't panic. She's just drowned. I can handle this." Caldwell was full of confidence. He swiftly instructed 2 medical students to lift Eleanor. Then, with one knee on the ground, he balanced Eleanor on her stomach over his other knee and began striking her on her back. As he did so, he lifted her chin slightly to allow the water in her stomach to flow out. Eleanor's condition was nothing serious. She was still breathing, and she still had a pulse. All he needed to do was to clear out the water inside her. Harmony Healers has had several patients who had drowned before, and his mentor, Dr. Bush, had used this method on them. It took only a few minutes and worked like a charm every time. But after quite some time, Eleanor did not seem to get any better. The head bodyguard gradually lost his cool. "Hey, do you know what you're doing? Why isn't Ms. Welsh responding yet? That's weird. This is how Dr. Bush used to save patients who drowned. Why isn't it working now?" Caldwell wiped the sweat off his brows, looking flustered. He checked multiple times that he was doing it exactly how Dr. Bush had taught him. So what was the problem? The patient is suffocated and is suffering from asphyxiation. Her heart will stop beating very soon. Simply draining the water out of her isn't going to work, Dustin remarked. "Hey, what nonsense are you spouting?" Caldwell turned around to glare at Dustin. "Do you know who I am? How dare you question my medical skills? It doesn't matter who you are. What matters is that you're using the wrong technique. If you continue with this, she'll die, Dustin warned. That's rubbish, Caldwell exclaimed in a fluster. I'm Dr. Bush's student, and I've been doing medical research for over 10 years. Who are you to tell me what I'm doing is wrong? Hey, young man, if you don't know what you're saying, you shouldn't run your mouth and disturb the doctors from doing their thing. That's right. Dr. Quinn has been Dr. Bush's apprentice since he was a child. He's been working in Harmony Healers for over 10 years, so he's seen it all. He won't have any trouble saving a patient who drowned. This is a matter of life and death. Why are you telling the professionals what to do if you're not a doctor? A bunch of elderly people began berating Dustin. From their point of view, he was just a young man here to get medical aid. How dare he teach the doctors at Harmony Healers what to do? He obviously didn't know his place. I'm just offering you some advice because the patient will die if you use the wrong method. And if that happens, you'll regret not listening to me, Dustin said. That's rubbish, Caldwell snapped rudely. Dr. Bush personally taught me this method to save patients. It has worked every single time without fail. Do you think that you're better than Dr. Bush? There is no hard and fast way to save a patient. You must consider the situation before using a certain method. You must be adaptable, Dustin reminded him. Shut up. One more word from you, and I'll throw you out. Caldwell's embarrassment fueled the anger within him. He was Dr. Bush's star apprentice who would be in charge of running Harmony Healers in the future. How dare a nobody tell him what to do? He thought too highly of himself. Well, have it your way then. Dustin shook his head, saying nothing more. Cut the crap. Save her, the head bodyguard urged. Caldwell suppressed the anger within him and began focusing on saving the patient. When he saw that his current method wasn't working, he tried several other methods to drain Eleanor of the water in her stomach. He looked like a frantic mess, jumping around and striking her on the back. He tried everything he could think of, but nothing seemed to work. Eleanor's face looked even more pale, and the purple patches turned darker. She was no longer breathing, and even her pulse had stopped. Stop. Stop it right this instant. Seeing that things didn't look right, the head bodyguard immediately stopped Caldwell. Then, he went forward and checked Eleanor's pulse. The color drained from his face instantly. She doesn't have a pulse anymore. What? A commotion broke out among the onlookers. After Caldwell's attempts to save her, none of them had expected her to lose her life. What happened? How could this be? Caldwell was stunned as he stood rooted in place. He didn't know what to do anymore. He had done what Dr. Bush had taught him. But why was the patient dead now? You quack doctor. When reality sank in, the head bodyguard roared and hit Caldwell across the face. You killed Ms. Welsh. You quack doctor. I'll make you pay for it with your life. I'll make the whole of Harmony Healers pay. What? Caldwell's legs gave way. He fell to the ground in a sitting position, ashen-faced. And he was done for. He was certainly done for now. He'd just killed the daughter of the Welsh family. There was nothing he could do to make up for it. What he had thought was the opportunity of a lifetime had now turned into a disaster that would cost him his life. Boys, tear the place down. I want all the swindling doctors here tied up. Do not let even a single one of them go. Anguished and furious, the head bodyguard ordered the rest of the bodyguards to tear Harmony Healers down. Hang on. Seeing that things were about to get out of hand, Dustin suddenly stood up and said, Ms. Welsh isn't dead yet. I can help her. She doesn't even have a pulse anymore. How can you help her? The head bodyguard gritted his teeth. A person has 5 minutes to be resuscitated after he dies. If the right method is used, she can survive, Dustin said gravely.